Okay, hello, we are back for more Morpho. We just finished Morpho Simplified Forms. Now we're going to jump right into clothing folds and creases. This book is awesome, and let's not delay. Okay, so we got a couple things to read here in the intro part. Introduction. In the spirit of the other titles in this series, the Morpho way is to simplify the various figures to the extreme, reduce their numbers to a few cases, and extract a simple, memorable logic from them in order to allow for realistic, imaginative drawing. Thus, figures 1 through 5 illustrate the main shapes that we will find throughout the plates in this book. Take a rectangle of fabric, figure 1, hang it up by 2 of its ends, and you will get the kinds of curved folds that can also be found on a piece of clothing suspended between 2 raised arms, a skirt resting on the thighs in a sitting position, or a simple poncho hung over the shoulders. So like that. And then now imagine that you wrap a cylinder in fabric and then pull on it, figure 2. It will behave like a cord pulling on the shape. A number of different positions will make clothes behave in this way. So figure 2, talking about tension folds. So last time we didn't really do the intro. I kind of did it on my own and just kind of started, but this time we're just going to go through it because it's not that much. So we'll just start with the old clothing. So now I feel, before when I got this first book, I didn't have the anatomy book first. And the entire time I was working through this book, I was like, oh man, I have gotten one of the anatomy books first because I kind of know, I was like, I'm confident as an artist. I was like, I know what's underneath these clothings, but as you'll see when we get through this book, it really kind of, it just helps to have a really basic understanding of anatomy first before diving into this kind of book. So if that's the case for you, just like I said, kind of go through the book that we did before this book, and that'll help give your kind of confidence, get your confidence up. I did not warm up today. I just kind of came in here and just jumped on, so these drawings ain't gonna be pretty. That ain't the point. So we have a woman sitting. But I gotta tell you, after doing all that anatomy practice now, whipping up something like this, very simple. I have my phone in my hand, or in my pocket, and this is definitely a no phone zone, and I'm breaking my rule, but so I might have to go pause the video and go put my phone somewhere because it's already being distracting. Alright, so got that. For me, clothing is something I love. Big fan of clothing. But again, right, it's the same thing with that we were kind of approaching with the anatomy. I just felt like recently everything that I've been kind of drawing has kind of been a little lackluster. So that's the reason why I'm personally kind of diving into these books, just to kind of get my confidence back up. And all the departments. So again, I personally like to kind of just say that when I'm jumping into a new, anatomy, any type of deep study that I'm going to do. I always like to kind of just remind myself why I am doing the study sessions and to be, you know, to begin with. Because if it, you know, if it's just like, well, I'm just studying just to study, you're not going to last long with it. Like, you're just going to kind of abandon the practice after a few days. But if you can kind of get in there and really give yourself reasons for like why you are giving yourself a couple practice sessions. That can definitely help keep you going. So right here, these shoulders would be the 2 points that they're kind of talking about in the intro part. But I got through about halfway of this book when I got this book like last year, and I really enjoyed it. At the time, I was reading Dynamic Folds by I think Bern Hogarth did that book, and that book is really informative. But you basically just read that book. You don't actually. I mean, you can sit there and try to redraw the drawings, but the drawings are very, very hard. He draws literally every single fold that's happening here, but as you can see here, right, we're only drawing like a couple major folds, and this is even just in like the intro. So personally, I just got a little bit more out of this book, and like I said, just doing about half of it got me back to feeling okay for a while as far as like studying goes. I really got to work on my setup here. I have like a microphone next to me. This webcam is kind of hanging up. It's very crazy over here in Derek land, but we're just making it work, you know? I might have to... I am going to do a studio sale, though, to get raise some money to get some better equipment. Nothing crazy nice, like I'm not about to drop thousands of dollars or anything like that, but just some lights, some better lights. If this is your first time, Jesus Christ, if this is your first time watching the video series, I personally kind of like to just go through and lightly kind of sketch everything out. So I'm not getting like too hung up on any one particular part of the examples that we're getting. Like, I'm not really trying to make sure that they're perfect or anything like that. It's more so, for me anyway, it's just more so like about just kind of getting the knowledge, or getting like the basic ideas down. Cool. And then I'm just going to draw the t-shirt on top here. Just lightly sketch it in. Okay. Now that everything's kind of lightly sketched, now it's a little bit easier to go in here and tighten everything up. Again, if it helps, just again, like, just try not to, you don't really have to worry about making everything perfect, right? Like, just try to get it as close as you can to the examples, but just try to just be kind of just absorbing this, like, the things that we're covering. Unless you really want to draw exactly like this guy or whatever how to draw book that you're drawing from, I would say just focus on what's being said. You'll often see me maybe writing some notes. And my humblest opinion, these are just studies anyway. They're not supposed to really be pretty, beautiful drawings. You know what I mean? I am going to draw the hair though, because I have been struggling with hair like crazy. That's honestly like a video I want to do. If I have time this week, I do kind of want to do like some side quest videos of just like real quick study sessions of like hair. I think someone really wants me to do like a spotting blacks tutorial. So maybe I'll do little side quest videos. But hair has been kicking my butt lately. Okay. Just like that. See how simple these folds are? This is like a little too simple. This is kind of more like animation kind of simple. But I still like it. I still would like to eventually. I don't think I have like the totally clean style for this type of stuff. But I do love it. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. Anytime I see these little bumps, I kind of like to count how many there are. Love you too. Give me a kiss. I'm recording that, so don't say anything. Love you. One thing you'll notice too is that that's the best way to put this into words. I feel like lines don't always, you see how these lines, there's like 1 or 2 that connect to the actual point of tension, as we'll get into, but it looks like they don't all connect back, so you don't have to do that. Like, see this one here? Seems like the closer they get to the point of contention, that's hilarious. The point of tension, the further away there's more, and then the less you get like the lines like don't actually connect. I hope that makes sense. It kind of makes sense in my head. I'm definitely gonna probably write it down. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bumps here. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And then over here we've got a bunch. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh my god, there's so many bumps over here. 2, 3. And again, right, like I'm not trying to make mine look exactly like the example, but close enough is good. Okay, so now here's like the trick, right? We've got bumps going down here. But this is kind of how you can kind of get a little bit, like when I was first started doing this book, after the big thing to kind of take away that you'll see is that wherever like the body part is moving, you can really just kind of get away with making every wrinkle go towards that, right? Like you see how this arm is being raised? So that's why you have all these wrinkles that are basically going towards this arm being raised. So like kind of once you know that, you can really just start making up your own folds, especially the more confident you get. Okay, got some more reading. When someone lifts a leg or an arm, the tension can be seen in the direction of the movement. A knot can also be the cause of the tension fold. So that's what I was saying. That's like the biggest takeaway from this book. Let's see. Now wrap your cylinder in a tube of fabric and fold it, figure 3. This will automatically cause flexion folds to appear, directed toward the point of tension at the angle of the fold. Following the same logic as in the preceding case, we will also find the floating triangular panels of fabric reappearing here. A flexed limb will result in a similar shape. We find this kind of fold on a pant leg, as well as on a sleeve, as well as the floating panel of fabric. If the garment is not constrained at its extremity, for example, by an elastic band or cuff link. Alright, cool. Got some pretty involved drawings here. Again, I'm really just kind of getting in that extra practice, especially after we just spent so much time doing simplified construction. So that's why you kind of see me doing mannequin work here. Just want to keep that information in my head, you know. Even if it's like a crappy mannequin, it's still really good to draw this in instead of just trying to just directly just draw exactly everything that you're seeing on the paper without constructing it first. So it might take you a little bit of time doing it this way, but I promise, especially if you've been following along since the last video, like just do it. This leg is way too long. Man, it's long. This leg long as hell. Let me adjust my. Let me adjust. That's so much better. Now I can, like, yeah, see this? This is distortion. You have to erase that. There's a lot of distortion going on in that. That's a little bit better. Cool. Now let's draw this lady over here. Let's get a line of action going. Good little spiral practice there. Alright, so we got all of our mannequins drawn in. Now let's go ahead and get some folds going. I'm not really going to draw that top hat. That's crazy. If it helps, I think he kind of covers this pretty soon, but you're going to be drawing a lot of S's and a lot of C's and a lot of V's. Alright, hold up. So there's button here, point of tension. Here's a point of tension, here's a point of tension, here's a point of tension, and here's a point of tension. See how everything is everything's going towards it. Just like that. Now we've got the coolest thing ever, which is capes. Who doesn't love a good cape? Like that. And again, another cool, I don't think this is technically a cape, but that. But do you see this, what I'm saying? Like, see how none of these lines are really, they're not connecting to the point of tension. So you can, I think you can do it, but it's a really cool, I kind of like that they don't really connect. just like that. And I have enough room to fit this guy here. So this would basically be like if you got a sleeve. See how everything though, the point of tension would be here. As you can see, everything is just really flowing towards it. Just like that. Okay, got some more room here. So let's get that in. Cool thing too is that wrinkles basically follow the anatomy. Like clothing really just follows the anatomy that's already there. I guess if you want, you could make yourself a rule, right? Like you could be like, okay, anytime there's like squishing going on, I'll just do 1-2 folds, right? Cool, and then we'll get this big guy here. We'll give him his own page. What a strange pose this is. You try to break this down, it looks like it's... that's weird. Strange pose. A lot of twisting. Okay. Obviously, you don't have to go this hard. Well, make yourself. I don't know. Doth we not just spent 16 hours on the last video series? Then thou shalt have no trouble doing something like this. Okay, now let's fill it in. Alright, and you know what? I might actually just kind of lighten it up. There we go. I don't really feel like erasing. So this is a point of tension, point of tension, point of tension. I think that's a good thing to do. Point of tension, like point out all the point of tension places too, so that you can kind of, I mean, I'm pretty comfy as an artist. So there's a part of me that's kind of like, okay, like I can look at what I'm trying to draw, but I can also look away and just try to, you know, kind of remember like the wrinkles are at the point of tension. Just remember that. Over here we have like a lot of wrinkles. Okay. And so that looks great. I'm actually gonna also just do like the shoe shapes too. Just because, again, man, shoes are freaking hard. But in the last book that we did, they end it with how to like simplify the feet. And boy, is that really helped, because now it's like I did all that, you know, the construction for the feet. So when I get down here to kind of put basically just like a kind of whatever shoe, I'm really just following the construction of my foot. To some people hearing that for the first time, might be like, yeah, no, you know, no S, but it's something really good that you can kind of pick up on. All right. A tube of elastic fabric can contain a large volume. It stretches and then forms a series of perpendicular form-fitting folds. In the same way, two cylinders slid into a tube of fabric will, if we pull them apart, cause tension that will bind the entire assemblage. So that's number 4. I think we can fit some of this right here. So let's give it a shot. So we got 2 cylinders. I guess this is talking about legs. Yeah, sometimes you have to kind of like translate. Don't be afraid to reread something a couple times if you're like, what the frick does that mean? I think if I were to ever, I don't think I'm ever going to make an art book, but if I ever was going to make an art book, I would just be, I would write it with like children to be like, hey, do you understand this? And if the kids were like, no, then I'd have to go and rewrite it. The kids are like, yay, I totally get it. Then I'm like, all right, any adult reading this will definitely understand that. Like, I didn't understand what most of that meant until we started drawing the examples. Otherwise, flawless book. It's like, yeah, clearly you can tell I'm not being paid by this company to do this. I'm like, what the heck does that mean? Okay. If you're wondering why I'm doing this with a mechanical pencil, I have some hand issues, and using a mechanical pencil really helps me to focus on how much pressure I am putting onto my drawing. Helps me not squeeze, like death grip my pencil. And then if I'm pressing way too hard, the lead will pop, so. But yeah, like doing stuff like that would be way easier with like a black wing or something. Woo. Go ahead and just redraw that. Cool. We'll go homegirl. Can I fit homegirl in here? Let's see. I can do her really small. Oh yeah. We learned how to do construction. We're good now. This example is a little bit tough because it's like, I don't know if we're supposed to just be kind of doing these volumetric lines to kind of show, I guess, where the tension is going to be coming from. But I'm just going to go ahead and just draw every tension line that I see. Okay. Uh-oh. Conversely, a cylinder of fabric surrounding a volume of smaller diameter will relax and submit to gravity. It will collapse onto itself, forming accordion-shaped falling folds. So these guys. These folds are random and vary a lot depending on the flexibility of the fabric. They will be fluid in silk or nylon. They will snap in thick jeans, etc. However, we can nevertheless deduce a potential logic, a certain tendency. The folds often form staggered, layered air chambers. Right there. Okay, so I think what this was saying is that if it's a tighter fabric, there's going to be there's basically no wrinkles, right? You're just kind of drawing, you can kind of go into a little bit of like volumetric drawing where you're just, you know, doing stuff like this. So that's I think that's basically what that was saying. All right, now we got some cool drawings here. Let's get the big girl, big body. That. Let's get figure 5 in here. I'm hoping to get a better understanding of this when you have these type of wrinkles, because they're really challenging. You know what I mean? Because I do think a lot of times you're just kind of making them up. There's just basically like this pattern that you're kind of recreating each time you kind of come to this. But yeah, that's something that's always very tough. But this example below is actually very useful. I don't know why I didn't do this last time. Like when I first got this book, I really was just, you know, I kind of had it open while I was drawing stuff. But the problem with that is you really got to take in the information first. You really got to read it, draw the example that they're kind of giving, because then it's like sort of in your head a little bit. Went to the beach yesterday. I think I got a little tiny bit of an ear infection going on. My ear's killing me right now. So I'm just kind of going in here and just kind of practicing. Oh shit. Interesting. Definitely have to play around with that some more. So let's go up here. Cool. So kind of, sort of making a little bit of sense here. Teeny tiny bit making. Obviously, this is just the introduction. They'll give us more insight, obviously, on like how to tackle these types of wrinkles, but look at how fun that shape is. So insane. Very cool though. Very like Ed, Edd n Eddy-ish. What sucks about Ed, Edd n Eddy is like I've always wanted to finish that show. By the time it was starting to kind of wrap up, I was getting out of watching cartoons as like a teenager and was you know, more interested in listening to music, skateboarding, playing in a band. So cartoons to me was just like, I'm not a kid anymore. Like that's like the thing that, like, you know, I just kind of really wanted to grow up. I was like, that's the thing that's like, oh man, I'm not a kid anymore, dude. Like I'm an adult. But I've really wanted to, it's on Tubi now, and I've really wanted to revisit it, but there's just some things that you're like, I'm not a kid anymore. You know, you can really only, maybe if I have kids, that'd be kind of cool. Be like, oh, you should watch this show. It's called Ed, Edd, and Eddy. I'd be hard pressed to find a child that wouldn't find that show enjoyable. Like if my kid didn't like Ed, Edd, and Eddy, I'd be like, oh, jeez, we might have a psychopath on our hands. I mean, I used to like run home on Friday to catch Fridays. That was such a cool era. I don't know if kids have that now. Well, I guess you don't. There's like not a need for it because you can just watch whatever you want whenever you want. But we had like very specific times, you know. Forget it. If your older brother was there and wanted to watch TV, forget it, dude. You're gonna miss. You're gonna miss that new episode of Ed, Edd, and Eddy. Or you gonna cry. Cry, get your mom to run downstairs like, what the heck's going on? You won't let me watch TV. And your mom's like, are you serious? I don't have time for this crap. Let him watch TV. Then your older brother's mad at you. And you're like, yes, dude, I get to watch Ed, Edd, and Eddy. And then it's a rerun. You're like, crap. Now my brother's gonna kick my butt over a rerun. But now the cool thing was you could Fridays, I don't think they ever really did a replay. I think, yeah, because then Toonami would come on later. Alright, now I'm getting super duper nostalgic. I never really was one of those kids though that like watched the crap out of Toonami like that. Like I watched it a lot, but 12 o'clock came around, man. Like I was pretty zonked. Every now and then I could stay up and watch a whole block. Seams introduce constraints. They can become the point of tension, or they can stiffen an entire panel of the garment. Figure 6. They can stiffen. Okay, right there. Figure 6, seam down the length of the leg, which will tend to complicate the drawing somewhat. Yeah, that's a lot to draw. Tension folds and falling folds will often interact. Oh, I should probably write this down. These are falling folds. Tension folds and falling folds will often interact. The two sets of folds connect like a network of veins. Figure 7. And where the hell's figure 8? Oh, over here. Figure 8. I will emphasize tension folds in each case because they are more expressive. Oh my god, there's a lot right there. Oh, okay, we'll read it. The drawings on the plates in the following pages are accompanied by a number of sketches. You will find many of them that correspond to the 5 cases mentioned above. The repetition of these sketches is the basis of the learning process offered here. This book is organized to match the structure of the other books in the series. I start with the upper body and the chapter. I start in the upper body and the chapter on the head and neck. You will find several examples of headwear and scarves. For that area, it will be sufficient to rely on the roundness of the head and to take note of the few examples of knots around the neck. In the chapter on the torso, we will look at some simple garments, including t-shirts, but also clothes with buttons, each of which constitutes a tension point that is likely to pull on the fabric depending on the wearer's posture and body size. A strongly muscled body, a large chest, and body fat are all simple cases to be dealt with. Pretty cool. The chapter on the upper limb outlines the changes that follow from various positions of the arms, particularly when they are raised. Of course, it is to be expected that these tensions will continue on to the torso. In the chapter on the lower limb, long pants, shorts, and skirts are all represented in the most common postures of extension and flexion, especially in the seated position to various degrees. And then we'll just draw these and then we'll get to that. Excuse me. See if we have enough room. I'm gonna do these here. Maybe not. I should maybe have a little. I should have enough room. This video is already getting pretty long. little zigzag going. Okay. I guess I'm wondering, and I guess probably what we'll figure out throughout this book is like, do you start? Is it easier to just start on the inside? Because like all the bumps are basically coming from, you know, they're all coming from the wrinkles on the inside bumping out. So there's a part of me that's like, should you draw the wrinkles first and then the bumps? Like, all right, like see that? That's going to be something I'm going to have to play around with. Because I think if you do this, right, like I think if you go, right, I can't fit this shoe here, so I'm going to just real quickly. I know, you guys totally don't have to be super anal about it, but and then I'm going to do the tiny guy here. Interesting. Get that going. We'll get homegirl drawed in. I can't believe I said that. Am I out of my mind? This is a very common writer pose. All right. You know, it'd be really cool if we could get this guy to come on the show and like explain to us, like, what should we do first? Should we draw the folds first and then the outline? But like everything artistically, I'm sure it's a lot of intuitiveness, you know? I remember asking Ryan Otley, like, when you're drawing your blood, are you thinking about the alphabet? Or you think, because if you look at his blood, it kind of looks like he's drawing a lot of A's and X's and K's and Y's when he's drawing them. And I was like, is it like, are you thinking of the alphabet while you're doing it, or is it just like really just kind of intuitive? And he was just like, oh, it's just totally intuitive. I was like, ah. He's like, yeah. He's like, oh yeah, I mean the alphabet thing's kind of cool, but no, I just. He's like, no, I just kind of just do it. I don't really understand this, but I guess we can just do. Do a quick study of it. I guess these are ways to kind of just simplify some folds. Like so. And then we've got this last one here. I hope that this presentation will be useful to you in your comprehension of the material. Don't lose sight of the expressive potential of clothing folds, which allow you to show lines of force inside the silhouette that will, in turn, if they are in alignment with the attitude that you've chosen, reinforce the point you are making. A hand movement can have repercussions all the way to the back of the body and even down to the ground. Wow. All right. Let's get that in, and then that'll be it for the intro video. Okay, I got this. Let's get this arm in here. So point of tension here, point of tension here. For some odd reason, I really want to go to the art store. I don't need anything though. I think my brain doesn't want to like do work today. Alright, so there you go, folks. I don't feel like drawing that face or anything. So. Cool. So that's it for the intro. Next, we're gonna hit the head and the neck. And as you can see, the sections here, there's only 4, but they're all pretty big. So I think these videos might be a little bit longer, but that's okay. All right, y'all. Peace out. See you next time.